Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here for the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and Mscribe, and today we're going to be talking about sOrdinals.
sOrdinals, dude.
Yeah, it's whatever, dude.
Lowercase s to be specific, but what does the S stand for, dude? Let's postulate before we break the news. Slippery ordinals?
Standard ordinals?
Standard ordinals, maybe, but no, they stand for
Stacks
ordinals.
That's right.
So why does that matter? I mean, we've already talked about STX20 in the past, right? Like that was the first introduction of inscription mania, kind of like spilling over to the, Bitcoin's first layer 2.
Was that the first? No.
On stacks?
Well, it was the first on stacks, but it's not the first spillage.
Well, we're talking specifically stacks because we're very honed in. Part of like our new extension to our original Bitcoin thesis of 2024 is all right, layer 2s are going to become hyper pertinent this year.
Yeah.
Right? Because, we want to build actual sensible ecosystems and real Web3 products at the end of the day, right?
Right.
Especially if we're going to build anything of substance in the metaverse, so it requires certain non-limitations, right? High files, like the metaverse comes with a lot of data.
Yeah, if you want a metaverse to exist that is high fidelity, that's very expensive in terms of like the weight of the kilobyte size.
And I think we're going to want that, right? Considering, Apple Vision Pro, we want these wonderful innovations of human technology to eventually apply to our metaverse layer on Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
That would be a huge disservice to humanity if we were just kind of like stuck in
like low poly
pixel worlds for the rest of time. So these are some obvious technical dilemmas that people like us have to consider on a day-to-day basis because, we want flexibility. We don't want to pigeonhole all developers to like a singular experience model.
I totally agree. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at sOrdinals.com. We're in the Explore page, and we're looking at more pictures, dude. Amongst the pictures is JSON data. I don't know if you saw that. There's an SRC20.
Nice.
Or it's sORC20. I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, there's JSON data in here, pictures. When we found this, you sent me the link. I clicked on it. I was like, "There's only 3 sOrdinals here, dude. There's only 3 of them."
There were only 3.
3.
Yeah, that was definitely another. Felt like bitmap, like the universe was calling out to us in that moment.
Yeah,
it was like, dude, the universe wants us to notice this for some reason. It's like we were the first ones to see the tweet, but it was not like it was nothing like bitmap in the sense that like nobody was paying attention to Batoshi's tweets. It was just us.
Yeah.
This got a lot of attention for good reason.
Yeah,
right?
The next day it had like 100,000 like pictures.
Like literally within 24 hours, like 100,000 inscriptions.
Yeah,
because they made it easy. Unlike ordinals in the beginning, it was incredibly difficult.
Yeah,
you need like your own Bitcoin core, and it was a bitch. So the pace
adoption curve,
correct. Yeah. There was a bigger lag phase, right?
Yeah.
So standard stuff. This is what you see whenever like a new inscription format kind of emerges.
Yeah.
You're going to see the djens kind of come in and kind of claim their space within that. A race to sub 100K. Yeah. Who's going to mint the collections within that?
Yeah.
We've seen a few. But still, so what's the main takeaway here?
Let me ask you a question. It's like, how much does it cost to inscribe these images, man?
The images?
Yeah.
I wish I knew, but I'm assuming it's got to be much cheaper,
right, than Bitcoin.
Yeah, because we have attempted to inscribe not necessarily 2D images, 3D models on chain on Bitcoin because we're dabbling in the BRC420 space. Yeah, we're developing different infrastructure components to bitmap and the operating system that is eventually going to reside on top of it.
And it was less than $1 to inscribe 3D models.
Correct.
Yeah.
Here on Stacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on Bitcoin it was like hundreds of dollars. So it's like
for like a low poly.
Yeah, exactly. So we ran into a very serious roadblock, and we've talked about this on some of our bitmap takeover editions. Like, dude, there's a big dilemma in front of all of us, right? Some people are like addressing it with inscribed out space, using recursion and such, and it could take you pretty far, but not to the depths of where we want to see the metaverse go.
Yeah, agreed.
So
we also talked about it in the space today with Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's becoming a problem, right? So let's continue kind of this journey. There's a Git book. it's very interesting what they talk about here because there's a potential solution within the Stacks ecosystem that allows you to take advantage of.
Yeah. So this is going to be right now. I think there is like a 500 kilobyte limitation. I think as far as like what you can inscribe, but the thing that really caught our eyes at some point is going to be unlimited.
It is going to be unlimited.
Unlimited file storage onto Stacks, and it was like, whoa, wowzers! That's whenever like our alarm bells went off, right? Because this hit our radar like in the midst of our conversations we've been having. It's like, dude, what are we gonna do about this?
Yeah, in the middle of discovering the problem, we were like, what are we gonna do? And then like,
the unfortunate like reality was setting. Is like, God damn it! I was like, we might have to like figure this out ourselves.
Yeah, not only that, or we just like store everything on AWS and then we just point to it from an inscription.
Right. It was kind of like that might have been like an unfortunate reality.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? We're kind of like taking jabs at these Ethereum bros over the last year.
Yeah.
It's like, you pointers. All you guys do are pointing at stuff.
Yeah. All NFTs are just URLs.
Yeah, and then here we are. It's like, well, we're going to have to do it too, guys. Sorry. You have to deal with it, because in order for us to build good stuff,
right,
we need good storage space.
It's true.
But
there's a solution completely on chain, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Leveraging layer 2s here. Vlad, I think he is the creator of Stacks 20, right? He says
Stacks
here.
20s, yeah.
Exciting update for Stacks family. sOrdials now live on sOrdials.com. For those following experience, here's the GitHub link. So this is the founder. And then Leather chimes in. It's been less than 24 hours. We have 100,000 inscriptions and kind of pushing it. Here's just a project deploying on sOrdinals. We'll be releasing Koala. And this is something that you won't readily see like on Bitcoin with like higher resolution.
Yeah, we really haven't seen anything like this yet for the obvious reason. Like to create a collection of art of this like fidelity, unfeasible, right?
Yeah.
The only one we're seeing really attempted is Danny Yang On-Chain Monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know, they've been funded millions of dollars so they can actually execute on bringing, higher grade quality art on chain to layer 1, right?
Yeah.
So that's not like a feasible path for most artists and creators, right? Unfortunately. But there's a market for this. People want to own digital assets with this type of fidelity, just like they're going to want 3D content in their metaverse spaces of higher fidelity grades.
Yeah, agreed.
They don't just want pixel stuff.
Yeah.
Pixel stuff is great. I love me some pixel art, dude.
Yeah, but it cannot be the only thing.
At some point, we must evolve as an ecosystem, right? So,
all right.
That was a good representation.
We got a dashboard here by Babo.
Yeah, just something cool that crossed our eyes. Because, our focus is we got to really understand Stacks better, understand what's happening. And this is a good dashboard to kind of like, show you what's actually happening over there.
Yeah, so 3,000 Bitcoin spent, reward 2,600, and then total burn. I need to verify this, that they're burning Bitcoin, which should be
the ultimate sin.
The ultimate sin.
An imprisonable offense.
Easily. We shouldn't be burning Bitcoin, guys.
Okay. Well, yeah, we definitely need to do more. Hopefully, we had an excellent interview with CTO of Alex Labs.
Yeah, Chan.
And we got a lot of positive feedback for that, and people are, I think, adding the fire under Munib.
Yeah.
To kind of like come on the show, dude, because we really want to like get a better grasp of like what he's been working on.
Yeah.
Stacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Munib, here's your chance, dude.
Another one.
Yeah, another one. All right, we're looking at Nakamoto's, and I think it's just another representation of what we expect from a community forming around inscriptions.
Yeah, now you can put ordinals on layer 2 Bitcoin. It's obviously more cost efficient. So what do you expect? How are people going to leverage this?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do a lot of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Now, what's the market demand going to be for these collections? That's to be determined, right? The invisible hand has to decide. It's probably going to be a while, but I think you're going to see a lot more like game projects for sure start to leverage this because, it's gaming, dude.
Yeah, there is going to be a market. I think we got to figure out what new stuff can we do besides images, right? With infinite storage.
This is the low-hanging fruit of today, right? This
100%.
literally came out a few days ago, so I'm not expecting, Halo 6 is on Stacks all of a sudden.
Yeah, right. That would be cool, though. I'd be all in on that one.
That's right. But we got a long way to go before, fucking Microsoft Game Studio comes in and
it's like we're doing sOrdinals.
Yeah, drop some bangers.
Yeah. All right. Finally, let's look at this tweet from Sol. He did bit plots, and I thought he had an interesting take here that I ultimately agree with.
Yeah, you've been saying it a lot, dude. So how do you want to break down this take? Because it is quite a tweet, but it is very eloquent, very elegantly put together. I guess you could just read it, dude.
Well, I'll paraphrase it. So he's saying, on Ethereum, they have a bunch of pointers, and on Bitcoin, we're kind of making fun of that, right?
Yeah.
But we can't just have an economy of just like low quality images, low quality everything, right? We can't do it. Yeah. So we're going to have to eat the fact that we're going to have to leverage off-chain capabilities to have like this higher resolution sort of experience. And then he goes on to say, we're probably going to be leveraging layer 2s to make this a reality. Yeah. And so
if you want to kind of like find some middle ground between these two competing narratives.
Yeah, it's like maybe we shouldn't be storing stuff on AWS, but maybe we could be storing it on a layer 2, right? It's still on chain, right?
Which we know is going to be like prevalent to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Equal so, or maybe even more so than how it is to Ethereum. Right. I mean, Ethereum has just been completely overtaken by layer 2 providers and such. I mean, there's like hundreds of them probably at this point. They just spin them up by, whatever.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that. We're going to cover some of them in the near future. You got Satoshi VM making huge buzz in the community. You got, I think, like BitVM, BitEVM.
Yeah.
There's just ZK is officially like stomping, like Bitcoin is its new stomping grounds.
Yeah.
This is all expected.
Virtual machine anything on Bitcoin is going to, gather a lot of attention.
Yeah. But as we know, Stacks it's been around. And we're getting closer and closer to this Nakamoto release, which is only like a few months away.
It's on the halvening, I think.
They say before the halvening, and Muneeb has been publicly stating that they are still on trajectory. Right. So, of course, this is Web3 marketing. Never take anything at face value.
Yeah.
Just until it gets here, it's not here.
Yeah.
Right? So, but when it does here, then we could officially start having these conversations. Like, okay, now we have like a true, as closest to Bitcoin as possible,
but with scalability, infinite storage,
correct,
and all this fun stuff. I guess.
So now it's like, how do we merge the two together and like still have some components of like the digital asset space that's tied to layer 1 and layer 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be the way to do it, right? You want everything on chain. All the assets are going to be on chain. It's just some assets might be on layer 2 just because they're inherently significantly heavier, right, to store on chain. So,
yeah, definitely keep your eyes on the bitmap space because I think these developers are going to be the ones more heavily incentivized to kind of like figure out these problems, right?
Yeah.
And actually bring them to market and such, and again, innovate in this space. So it's coming because we want a competitive metaverse ecosystem on Bitcoin. Right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. Competitive breeds innovation. Innovation helps builders create stuff.
Yeah. All right, so there it is, dude. Ordinals on Stacks.
Yeah.
Would you ever thunk?
It was obvious, dude.
It was obvious. Okay, so yeah, all the details are in the doc, so we didn't go too deep into like how it's actually being executed.
Yeah.
But it's all there, and I think it's been verified by enough people. It's legit.
Yeah. Right? I mean, they have a market. Well, I don't know if it's a marketplace yet, but it works. It's here, right? So we know it works. That's it for us. If there's any questions or we miss anything as far as sOrdials go or anything going on in the market, let us know in the comment section below. And then follow our Twitter accounts. There's many of them, and we appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.